one of the big things that happened last night was the absence of Aaron Connolly and Adrian and Eoin as well. And I mean, Jesus, if those two were there, I think we'd be having a very different conversation this morning, if I'm being absolutely honest about it. There was a lot of confusion during the game as to why exactly they were absent, and afterwards Stephen Kenny tried to shed a bit of light on it.
We have different rules in Ireland, Guy, than you have in the UK. You know, they're much more stringent in terms of it's, you know, they would be deemed close contacts to one of our non-footballing staff, but it just very, very harsh. They're ruled out. They're perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with them. But they, you know, the 2 metre rule in Ireland, it's not in the UK. I believe it's not in the UK. So if you're in the UK, they would have been perfectly entitled to play. But Ireland has more stringent rules, and we had to abide by the medical advice.
And how late in the day did you find this out? It seemed before the game when you told us that it was a late thing, maybe, with James McLean coming in.
Yeah, well, we didn't know earlier, but there was an appeal, and you know, we appealed it on the basis, you know, of 1.7 metres as opposed to 1.9 metres. That's how far they were away, as opposed to 2 metres, which would have made them okay. But that wasn't deemed sufficient, so that's the way it goes. We can't do anything about that. The two lads are fine. They feel fine. They feel perfectly well. What's that?
Are they out of the Wales game, and is there a concern that other players might be out of the Wales game?
No other players are at all. No, we don't have any issues in the camp at all, really, to be honest, which is just an issue with a non-footballing member of staff, and but it wasn't an issue, and everyone was fine in the camp, and it was just one of those one of the rules that we had to adhere to, really. That was it.
Yeah, so Aaron Connolly and Adrian and Eoin were 1.7 metres and 1.9 metres away from the non-football playing member of staff on that Stephen Kenny talks about there, and it was certainly a feeling last night that a lot of the narrative was around, you know, Stephen Kenny mentioned there that we appealed to the HSE. I'm not sure what the nature of that appeal was or how the nature of that conversation develops, but for me, I think that it seems very bizarre that the FAI themselves did not insist that players were, I mean, you would be taking the 2 metre rule to the extreme for it to be a bare minimum 2 metres, but that there wasn't more stringent measures in place from the FAI, that they were absolutely ensuring that never, like, I mean, you talk about crucial members of the playing staff. Any of the playing staff are not situated in that proximity, that you just go over and beyond to take as many measures as you possibly can to make sure that you're not dealing with a conversation where you have to call the HSE afterwards. The HSE, in my view, had no option. What are they going to say? The FAI called them, a high-profile team called them and say, listen, we had people that were within 2 metres. The guidelines are there for a reason. Like, otherwise you're in Clifton territory. I think the HSE have got to stand by their own guidelines. And it's not as if suddenly the FAI are saying, was it 2 metres? I wasn't sure what it was. Everybody knows about 2 metres, and I can't understand how the FAI have allowed the situation to happen.
There's also questions to be asked about how it was communicated as well. The team was named at 6:30 yesterday. We thought it was a massive tactical surprise that James McLean had been picked ahead of Aaron Connolly. Stephen Kenny then does his pre-match interview with Sky between 7:05 and 7:10, and it becomes apparent that this is not tactical at all. It becomes apparent that Aaron Connolly and Adrian and Eoin are missing for very different reasons that aren't tactical. Quite obviously, then your mind goes towards COVID. And then at 7:11 last night, an email lands in our inboxes. And I just want to read out the email here. The Football Association of Ireland can confirm that a second member of the senior men's international team backroom staff has tested positive for coronavirus ahead of tonight's playoff. The FAI employee had tested negative in Dublin on Tuesday, but a positive result came from a test in Bratislava on Wednesday. He is asymptomatic and is feeling well. Now, COVID-19 protocols have been executed, and both UEFA and the HSE have been informed of this development. UEFA have also confirmed that the fixture against Slovakia tonight is not affected by this development. The Ireland squad and staff will be tested as per UEFA protocols in Dublin on Friday. The FAI will not make any further comment ahead of tonight's UEFA Euro 2020 playoff semi-final against Slovakia. No sign whatsoever in that email that Aaron Connolly and Adam Idah were connected to this case, that Aaron Connolly and Adam Idah were sitting too close to this person for 2 hours and thereby were deemed a close contact and could not play. What is the incentive in not telling people at that point? I don't understand it, because the opposite of that then is the rumour mill goes into full throttle. Now, I personally didn't see any of the WhatsApps that were doing the rounds yesterday, but a lot of football journalists have been alluding to them on Twitter over the course of last night. What good does that do anybody if a statement that doesn't attack this head on, like if that leaves the door open for the rumour mill to just go in full
just
flow?
come out and tell us. Like you almost expected a follow-up question in the interview beforehand, and as you pointed out last night, I did feel as if it was done by C3PO, which is fair enough, and maybe that sort of creates an awkward dynamic, but just come out and tell us. The FAI are not going to be making any more statement on this. Like, sure, that's blatantly obvious. We're about to play a game. You don't need to say that. Just tell us what's going on. It was a very frustrating situation that cropped up last night, and it was needless. That, as you say, around the communication of it, and it was needless. I think the more important point, it was needless that this cropped up at all, and I genuinely believe that we would have been having a very different conversation about Ireland's prospects last night had both of those players been available last night for tactical reasons. It's mind-boggling, to put it mildly.